Hi everyone. Yesterday's 6th Sunday of Easter Gospel, it was about a promise that Jesus leaves with his friends, with his apostles. A promise that we know is truth, we know is real. Promises in my life, I remember my brother used to always tell me to promise never to tell mum and dad naughty things that he'd done. I didn't always keep those promises, and basically because I suppose I never promised to do it in the first place, he just asked me to. I know a familiar story with some of you sometimes. Maybe it's happened to you on early closes. We might ask our parents to remember to pick us up. Maybe they've forgotten us once before on early close days. We ask them to promise to do things for us. Could you promise mum that you'll do this for me? Or could you promise dad that we can go do this later on? So promises with ourselves, sometimes we don't always stick with them. But a promise from God through Jesus, it's a real promise. Promise is that he's going to give his friends something. His promise is that he's going to give the apostles something. Something they can use forever. Because we know the person Jesus, he didn't stick around. He didn't stay around. He was with them for a while, but then we know he was crucified, came back from the dead, and eventually 40 days after that, he had the ascension. He rises to heaven. We look at that in the next few weeks. But in his conversation with him with his apostles on this particular day, he said to them, I promise to give you a guide. I promise to give you someone like me. And he's talking about the Holy Spirit. He's talking about how the Spirit will lead the apostles, will lead us as Christians for the rest of time. The Spirit is here amongst us. The Spirit is in our hearts. The Spirit dwells within us. The Spirit is in your friends. The Spirit is in your family. The Holy Spirit is with us to guide us. Jesus was not going to leave us alone. He knew he was going to have to go. He was a human, so he was going to have to go, and he did. But he left us with a guide. And that guide is the Holy Spirit. He promised to leave us with the guide. And when we received this Holy Spirit, when we receive it ourselves, we learn a very crucial message, and that is to care for others. He gives us the Spirit, and he leaves us with the power to care for others. We recognize when we receive the Spirit, we can see how clever God is. We can see how clever Jesus and God are. Their work was not done when Jesus left. Their work was not finished when Jesus left. It continues to this day, 2,000 years after Jesus. His work still continues in the world because of the Spirit, through you and me and others like us. Jesus' work still continues because we are now God's workers, caring for others. He left us with a job to do. He said, if you do what I say, he'll give us the guide, and we've received that guide. And it's wonderful, and it's good news. It's good news for us all. We are not alone. Take care, everybody. See you next time.